a cassette online, it's going to say compatible with the HG standard. What it's not going to say is if it's a 35 millimeter HG hub body or if it's a 36.8 millimeter HG hub body. This one right here is a 35 millimeter. If you put a 35 millimeter cassette on a 36.8 millimeter hub body, you'd have to buy one of those 1.8 millimeter spacers that fit in here. Notice, if you will, how the first gear, or the biggest ring, is offset, and it's offset about 2 millimeters actually from the bottom of the bracket. So that's how they are able to put 11 and 12 speed cassettes on the shorter hub. It's important that you get the right cassette for the right hub body. This is a 12 speed cassette that's set up for a 35 millimeter hub body. So the important thing is, when you put on this ring to tighten it, it's important that you have at least a minimum of 2 or 3 or more rotations. I actually have an 11 speed. Look at this. See how many times it's turning to go on? I have an 11 speed over there, which is a set up for a 36.8 millimeter body, and I put it on a or 35, and I was able to get about 1.5 turns on the thread. So theoretically it fit, but not really, because it's just weak. So you just got to be careful when you do that. Okay, this is a boost hub, 148 millimeters. And this is the center of the hub. You can see the center between the two flanges is roughly about here, but we have to center the rim over this point here, which means we have to have about 2 millimeters less spoke on this side than on this side. And of course, you have 5 or 6 millimeters of thread, so it shouldn't be a problem, but in some cases you do have longer spokes that go on this side than this side. Flanges on these hubs seem to have the same spoke distance, but as it turns out, the red one is 56.28 millimeters across, and the black one is 58.09, so they're actually about 2 millimeters different. So even though these are made by the same company, there is no consistency. Fortunately, the threads on these spokes are 1 centimeter or 10 millimeters long. So it gives you a little bit of slop factor there. Here's a hub taken off a 7-year-old bicycle, and it turns out the spacing for the spokes on the flanges is identical to this one right here, which is 58.09. So you just never know. This is a $38 truing stand, or 38 when I bought it. It could be inflation the way it is. It could be 40 now. The way it comes is these 2 points here are 148 millimeters, so that's set up for a boost hub. You flip it around like so. Now it's 110 millimeters. And if you flip one like that, that's set up for 135 millimeters. Either way, you could have it long this way or long that way, or short this way and short that way. And that's why down here I have set up like where it is now. The center line of the 135 would be there. And what I do is I'll just take this 2x4, and when I put the rim on there, I'll align it with this 2x4. It's the easiest way to make sure that it's centered on the hub and not centered between the flanges. So I just measured the distances between the flanges on these 3 different hubs, and they were 52 to 58 millimeters, so there's no consistency there. Okay, here it is set up for a 148 millimeter boost hub, this being the center point, which is actually half of 148, which is 74. Love that sound. And the center between these two lies right here. So when I'm going to lacing up the wheel, I want the wheel to be lined up directly over that.